안녕!
Hi guys!
How's everyone today? We're back with you with Sizzle. Today we're going to have an interesting topic. We're going to be talking about all of the different black foreigners in Korea and all of in the entertainment industry specifically.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting topic because there are a lot more foreigners like us that live and work in Korea and in the entertainment industry. So I think a lot of people are curious to find out what's it like to, actually work in Korea as a foreigner during the entertainment industry. So we're pulling from this article for the first black K-pop singer releasing her, solo kind of mixtape, but she's actually the first. You around the first, maybe first or second, right?
Idol? For the Idol, I think she's the second, but
Second.
the same group.
Okay, so same group. We'll just call her the first black K-pop artist, and her name is
Fatou.
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 Yeah, Fatou. Fatou?
Fatou? I think it's
Okay.
Fatou.
She's from Belgium, and she is pretty good at Korean. I think her Korean's not bad.
Yeah, I was listening to her speak in some interviews. I was really shocked. Not that Korean foreigners can speak Korean well, but usually if they're an idol trainee, it's usually year 2 or 3 that their Korean gets to the level that hers is. So.
If you guys don't know, Jade's also a model in Korea, and she's gonna be kind of giving her personal experience on kind of working in the industry. But let's talk about this group here, Blackswan. So this group is pretty much consisted of a mix of Korean and foreigners in their group at first, and then now because of some issues that they had, they added 2 new foreigners from Brazil and from India.
Yeah, and she's the Indian woman. What's her name? The Syria.
Yeah.
She is the first Indian idol.
Indian idol. Yeah,
and so she's making a lot of trends these days.
And then I don't know what happened to the other members. They got into some sort of controversy, so maybe they got kicked out or that kind of thing. But anyways, they're no longer with the group. So this is a pure international group now. And this is very interesting because the idea of K-pop without any Korean people and they're singing in Korean is...
It's very interesting. But
yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see where it goes because I was watching an article, but a video about it, and they were saying, well, Korean K-pop takes from so many different cultures, and so they are now also singing in English. And I remember a long time ago, idol groups used to sing sometimes in Spanish for their fans. So it's interesting to see how a whole foreign group singing Korean will be received. I think it should be received well if they speak Korean well and they are singing Korean songs. As long as we're respectful, I don't know. I think I want to see it.
Yeah, let us know if you guys think that this group will be successful. Because right now I feel like they have some popularity.
They do.
They are, I think, more towards the global audience rather than the Korean audience, obviously. Because and if you are Korean, let us know what do you guys think about this group, because they are singing in Korean, but none of them are Korean. So does that? For me, I just feel it's kind of weird, but maybe.
I think
might
this
be the
is
new
just
thing.
also temporary. I think Korean members will come back.
Could be.
They'll add to, because it makes it a little easier. Because even though you can speak Korean and you've been in Korea a long time, some things, some social cues, you won't get. And you kind of would need a Korean there just to be, helpful.
Yeah,
So
or else it wouldn't be considered K-pop. It would just be
Right.
pop, right?
So it's But also then you have some group like, like Jessie. Jessie's Korean, but she was Korean American. And I remember watching her on like some variety shows, and she would be there and she would be so lost because she couldn't understand what was going on. And they thought it was so cute. And I'm like, but if a foreigner did that, would it also be cute? Because, Jessie at that time essentially was a foreigner.
Yeah.
And she just spoke Korean, but it's like the nunchi, like that small things of culture that you don't understand can make it a little bit difficult. So I wonder how they will do in those type of situations.
So today we're kind of a little bit talking about like multiculturalism in Korea, and over the past several years, there was an incident where a black Korean person, a man who was a model as well, and he actually got a lot of comments, and a lot of Korean people didn't see him as Korean, and what his name is Han Hyung-min, and he's actually Korean, like he can't really speak English, right?
Can't speak English. Because I actually met him once before on a fashion show, and I wanted to say hello to him, but at that time my Korean wasn't that good, and I knew from all of the articles that he couldn't speak English. So I was like, I'm just going to say annyeong and then move on. But it's kind of interesting because we were both the only two black people in the show. But he's more Korean, like he's more in tune to his Korean side, so he can't really kind of relate to me on that way. So I was like, is this a little awkward? But I wanted to say more to him, but I know that he couldn't communicate in that way. But so it's really interesting. I wonder how he is doing these days because he's really popular. He's
really popular.
He's like the face of No Brand Burger and everything.
Oh, is he?
So I see him like on billboards and everything, and I'm just like so happy that he's doing so well.
He's very popular. He's doing a lot of clothing advertisements too. I think I see him on the bus stop billboards everywhere. Actually, he's getting really popular.
And I'm glad that like the people are receiving him better, because at first he had a lot of problems where he was saying like people don't see me as Korean, but I really am Korean. And I think that his popularity now shows how hard Korea is working to be more multicultural.
Yeah, make sure you guys check out that video too about discrimination in Korea. What's it like? Can you tell us a little bit about what's it like working in, as a fashion model in Korea? Is that, was that pretty difficult to adjust to?
I feel like black models in Korea, we feel like a niche. So there's not a lot of us. I think I know most of them. If I don't know all, I think if there are 50, I know 40 of them. So it's like we all know each other because we all are kind of going for the same roles, and we work together on the same things. And so in that, we kind of have like a bond where we're just like, we know how it is. Like sometimes it's really hard because you want to do a shoot, but then they're just like, no, we only want Westerners. And I'm like, I'm a Westerner. And they're like, no, we really want like white people. And I was like, can you just say that?
Yeah, you should just say that.
Yeah, we're like, we don't understand. So we try and like those kind of things, like, well, that's okay because in Korea, there is kind of like an ideal look. And so if you're not Korean, most close to that look is usually like, there's like an ideal look. So it's like kind of like an IU look, or one of the famous actresses where they have long hair and like very, very pale skin and big eyes. And so that close, if you're a foreigner, the people who look most like that is more like Eastern European model, like she's white and she's long hair and things like that. So they get a lot of jobs, but I also feel bad for them because there's so many of them.
Competition's pretty high.
The competition is so high. So if you go to a modeling agency, you'll see maybe 100 girls and they all look the same.
Wow. How many black
models.
Yeah.
If there's 100 of
Yeah.
the white models, maybe it'll be 1 or 2 black models, if they have any.
Wow.
So it's like at my agency, I think there's two of us, and I just joined my agency. So it's like they were looking for more of those women because since there's not a lot of us here, when there is a job, we can get that job kind of easily.
It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, it's easier because there'll be like maybe 2 or 3 other women, while if you were
Yeah,
a
of
white
course.
woman, it's kind of like you're fighting everybody.
Wow. How often do they request for black models in Korea?
It depends. Like sometimes if you're doing like a runway show, it's a lot more because they want to have a more Milan show. And right now in international models, black models are really popular, especially if you don't have a typical look. Like if you have long hair, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But if you have like maybe short hair,
like
if
Jade,
you have, like me, or like if you have like a cropped look, like something different. They want different, and I think that's coming more and more into Korean society as well because you have a lot of different, like Han Hyunmin, he looks different. Like he has pink hair, I think now, and like you have different like idols that are, like Lisa, like she doesn't have a traditional look. She has a little bit of a darker skin tone, but people really like her, and so she's kind of like setting that trend. And so then brands will be like, okay, we want someone like her. Like
a lot of mixed Korean people, I feel like
yes.
A lot of mixed models more than before are on advertisements now, which is great. I mean, I love that they are kind of accepting all kinds of looks because I think in Korea you have to sell internationally if you as a brand. Like it's kind of hard to do domestic like sales. You're not gonna be able to expand as a business, I feel. So I feel like if you're a smart advertiser, marketing person, you would probably, hire more different looking models to kind of make your brand a little bit more attractive for the global audience. So that's why I think that nowadays they have all kinds of stuff. Like right in front of my house, they have I think it's a soccer player, professional soccer player, but it's a black guy.
Does he play for Korea?
Yeah.
That's fine.
And then there's a lot of other people from other countries that come here to work in entertainment, sports, regular job, whatever, and I think that it's getting a lot more accepted.
I agree, and I think also music has been a big part of that because like hip hop is so popular now, and so I know a lot of some of my friends, they usually do like they get connections through like different music videos they'll do, and then people are like, oh no, you can do this for my brand, or like that kind of connections is really important. So like I see a lot of people get a lot of work through that too.
What were some challenges for you personally when you first came here?
When I first came to Korea in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, like in terms of like working as a model.
I think my first runway show was so difficult because I couldn't speak Korean well, and I was so nervous that the little Korean that I had was out the window, and
You had to say something?
It was more like I had to get directions.
Oh.
So like I remember we were walking, like they were doing the practice runway, and she was saying like go straight, but I didn't know what she was saying, so I was just walking, and then she like cut the music, the lady, and she started yelling, and then I was like I started crying, and then the other models came, they were like, no, it's not you, it's everybody that was going off. I was like, I don't know. So I felt
language.
like so I was like,
hard.
is it me? And they're like, no, it's not you, it's everyone, was because there was no, like we were walking straight, but there's nothing to look at.
There's no markers?
There was no marker, and it was pitch black. So we were just like going.
Don't they usually have markers?
Yes. But they didn't put it down.
Why?
So they were just like, just go straight and come back. And so everyone was going like this, and then it was a hot mess. But we fixed it in the end. But they were like, no, it's okay, you're okay. And I was like, I'm not okay. But
so language was probably the number one thing.
Language was the biggest thing, and then also like, not just only language, but like the nuances of it. So like I remember I knew like a 사장님, like a leader, like the boss of the company. I met him like as a friend, and so like we would talk casually, like lower level Korean, and it was fine. But then he said when we started working together, it's better because of everyone else that we don't speak that way.
Right.
And then I was like, I don't understand. I guess so it was so hard for me to switch. And then he was like, I need you to please do this for me. And I'm just like, okay.
The 존댓말?
Yeah, so I had to switch how we spoke, and then I was like, this is kind of uncomfortable. But I was like, I had to do that for my job, so it was like that.
How was your Korean now?
It's like better than it was before, but I feel like you can never stop learning Korean.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you guys know, if you take a Korean language class, it's like intense. It's like 4 hours a day. You know, you cover all the bases, and you have to practice talking, and you get tested. So your Korean gets pretty good, pretty fast.
Right.
So, yeah, that's, you know, especially if you have like a goal, like working,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that gives you motivation. For me, it was like I needed to start my program, so I needed to like hurry up and do it. So it's always good to have that motivation so that, you know, you can study quickly. So, because if you don't have that, it's going to take forever. So, any other challenges that you had, or was?
I'm trying to think. I didn't really have that much of a harder time because I'm very, when someone does something rude or like they're very discriminatory, I kind of just shrug it off. But I've known my friends who've had this kind of time and they're not. They've had like arguments and fights, and like it's really hard because sometimes you'll meet someone who's really just like, yeah, so like sometimes they'll have something discriminatory happen when they really get into big fights with people because it's not, when you have discrimination, it's, what can you do? You can only have like a fight. Like you have to fight for yourself so that other people don't have to go through that same situation. I haven't really had anything too bad other than people like saying like some rude comments or things like that, but I think of that as just ignorance. So I'm just like, I won't waste my time making myself unhappy because you don't know better.
That's a good attitude to have.
Yeah.
I mean, like Jade has a really good attitude. I feel like for me, I'd be irritated if someone did that, but I think that's just me. But I think we should all have an attitude like that, like more understanding and just shrugging it off. Because I feel like a lot of Korean people, once you get to know them, they are very nice. But the thing is, you have to make an effort too, to kind of learn the language and their culture because, you know, you are in Korea. So, you know, when I see a lot of foreigners that are not taking the effort to learn Korean or try to understand, that's, I think, you know, something that can cause problems.
I was just talking about this because like if you go out sometimes you'll go to a bar or something and they won't let foreigners in.
Mm-hmm.
And I always want to know why, because there's always a story of why. And there's always maybe like a soldier or someone came in and they caused thousands of dollars in damage or something happened, but they can't speak Korean. So there's no way to solve the problem, and so the owners or whatever, they just get frustrated and they say, well, I can't talk to you, so I can't have you here. So it's like kind of that kind of frustration that happens, and then people are like, well, that's still discriminatory, and I'm like, it is, but it's also like, it's a problem of like being in a country where everyone's not on the same page.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you come to Korea, you really need to be able to speak Korean so that you can advocate for yourself and be able to speak and communicate with everyone.
It's not really racist. It's just that they can't communicate, so they would rather just not have that problem.
Right.
I think
or
that's what
like,
it is.
or it's like sometimes they'll be like, oh, they were here only for 3 days and then they're out of the country, and so how do you fix the wall that they broke? It's like things like that.
Oh yeah, that's
you know
stuff like that.
There's like layers to it that is more, I
yeah.
understand. That's why it's like, I feel like it's messed up and it's not good, but it's also how do you fix that?
That is something that I think everyone, not just Korea, has to
Deal with.
Yeah, I think like everyone everyone that's like in the community and society needs to work together in making this a little bit better. You know, Korean people have to be a little bit more open, and then we as foreigners have to be a little bit more understanding, and it's not take everything so personally, like a personal attack. I think a lot of foreigners do that. Like they take it very personally.
I think it's because we won't deal with this in another country because more countries are more used to tourists and tourism. Like Korea has had tourism for a long time, but I feel like in recent years because of K-pop, it's been even more like rampant, and there's so many people coming, and they're not like adjusting as well. And it's also, you know, Koreans are like, sometimes it's like, well, if they're Korean, it's easier. I can just talk to them. Everything's easier. They don't have to try.
True.
And so I think that's also sometimes you have that problem where Koreans, they don't want to adjust because they know that it's easier to just keep it the way that it is. And in the older generations, you'll see that more. But I think as the younger ones grow up, like a lot of them want to leave Korea because they want to go where more jobs are and where it's more easier to make money. So they want to understand the more foreign mindset, and so they have more foreign friends and they watch more foreign shows, and so they're way more open even to like just if you're lost on the subway, they'll help you more than I think an older person would.
They're doing a lot better in helping like everyone, not just, you know, foreigners, but like especially for foreigners, it's a lot more, I think, less anxiety, if you can kind of think of it like that. And Korean people are pretty friendly nowadays. They all pretty much speak English, so, or at least a little bit. So it's not like they don't want to talk to you. They're just afraid of themselves, you know, or having not enough confidence in themselves speaking English. So it has nothing to do with the foreign person, actually. So, you know, if you kind of think of it like not taking it too personally, then I think that living in Korea is fine. You know, you won't have any problems. Like I never really had too many problems living here. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add? No,
not right now. I think
so. Yeah, so that's it for this video. Let us know what do you guys think about, you know, the first black K-pop star, or, you know, being black in Korea, or what do you guys have any comments for Jade, or what do you want to, you know, her to, you know, let you know for the next video, and maybe we can make one answering your questions.
Let us know down below. We'll answer anything you want to know.
Yep, and that's it for this video. We'll see you guys next time. 안녕!